what's going on with Bob Iger's situation over at the Walt Disney Company and exactly why he's now being investigated by the FCC. Not only is the FCC now looking into the Walt Disney Company, but they are now officially moving forward to investigate Disney CEO Bob Iger specifically.
And Disney decided to hire the most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth.
Other movie companies are going to look at her and they're going to say box office poison. And a lot of this is due to her behavior leading up to the film's release.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Whew, what started as a magical reimagining has turned into a full-blown disaster. Disney's live-action Snow White remake, once hyped as a bold, inclusive update to a timeless fairy tale, is now spiraling out of control. And baby, it's way messier than anyone expected. The chaos, it's not just about bad press or fan backlash anymore. This time, we're talking on-set destruction, shocking CEO confessions, and a meltdown so intense it allegedly left the entire production hanging by a thread. And at the center of the storm? Yep, Rachel Zegler.
This is Rachel Zegler, who Disney decided would be brilliant in casting because, as Rachel Zegler says, her millions of fans will line up no matter what she does to see her.
It all started with whispers, rumors of last-minute creative overhauls, ridiculous reshoots, ballooning budgets, and on-set chaos that made people question if the film would ever see the light of day. And soon those whispers turned into full-on sirens when reports leaked that Rachel Zegler, the film's lead, had a breakdown so intense it literally shut down production. Like, halted, frozen, done.
Look at this acting.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more chaotic, Disney's own CEO stepped in with receipts that stunned even the most loyal Mouse House fans. He didn't sugarcoat it, he didn't spin it. He straight up said the set was practically destroyed after tensions exploded, and the film's future was now hanging in the balance.
I'd say that this is one of Disney's biggest regrets ever. I mean, I checked, we've discussed it before, I checked Rotten Tomatoes, and the score is even lower than the last time we talked.
The mess didn't happen overnight. It started months ago when Disney first teased their bold new vision for Snow White. The film was supposed to break barriers, challenge old tropes, and reintroduce the iconic princess to a new generation. But instead of excitement, the public felt something else brewing. Uncertainty, discomfort, and eventually outrage.
Other movie companies are going to look at her and they're going to say box office poison. And a lot of this is due to her behavior leading up to the film's release.
Early on, Disney made it clear, this wasn't your grandma's Snow White. This version, she wasn't waiting around for a prince. The dwarfs, completely reworked. And the classic charm of the 1937 original, basically rewritten. At first, fans held out hope. Maybe it would work. Maybe it would be a thoughtful update.
Absolutely, she is just uniquely unlikable, but then it is actually a terrible film as well. So it's the double whammy.
But then came the script leaks, the constant rewrites, the panic behind the scenes. Cast and crew were working with new scripts almost daily. Scenes were added, ripped apart, rewritten, and restructured without warning. One day, a magical moment was locked in. Next day, gone. Entire character arcs vanished. And the vibe on set? Tense, unstable, exhausting.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
And we're not talking about some indie film hiccup. This was a massive $300 million zero-cents Disney tentpole. And with every chaotic rewrite, test screening failure, sudden reschedule, that budget kept climbing. Insiders started sounding the alarm. There was no vision, no plan, just mayhem.
Controversies surrounding Disney's Snow White remake show that we are still in the thick of the culture war.
At the center of it all was Rachel Zegler. Cast as the modern, fearless Snow White, she was supposed to bring a fresh take to the character. And at first, people were excited, but then came the interviews. Rachel's comments weren't just bold, they were biting. Instead of celebrating the story, she criticized the original. Instead of nostalgia, she brought sharp critiques.
And then Rachel Zegler plays Snow White. I think Gal plays the... I was not a child, so I don't follow.
But others, they felt betrayed. The magic of Snow White was being dissected and discarded. And as Rachel kept speaking out, fans started turning on her. And that was before the real drama even started. Then came the incident that shattered everything, the reported on-set meltdown.
So they're in, and Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
Still don't have the full picture, but crew members say it was explosive. 1 minute, filming was tense. The next, Rachel allegedly snapped. Whether it was a script disagreement, director conflict, or pure stress, something broke. And what followed was destruction so bad that parts of the set were unusable.
So the two stars hate each other. And then they couldn't put dwarfs.
Disney tried to contain it, rushed in top execs, shut things down quietly. But the secret was out. That meltdown, it wasn't a one-off. It was the symptom of a much deeper crisis. And for the first time in years, even Disney's CEO couldn't pretend everything was fine. In a move that shocked Hollywood, the CEO admitted what we all feared. This project, a chaotic mess.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work.
The meltdown, real. The set, ruined. And the budget, skyrocketing by the day. People who followed Disney for decades couldn't believe it. The cracks were no longer hidden. They were public and embarrassing. After that, production was in shambles. Schedules torn up, crews scrambling to rebuild sets. Stunt teams, costume designers, even the caterers, everyone was caught in the fallout. Scenes were shot out of order, locations had to be restructured. It was like trying to film a fairy tale in the middle of a war zone.
And honest,
golden employment opportunity for dwarves.
There's not that many scripts that come down the pike.
No, it's 7 of them.
That has, and there's seven dwarfs.
And if you thought the meltdown was a one-time thing, think again. Insiders say Rachel had been clashing with directors and producers for weeks. Arguments, standoffs. And when the meltdown happened, Disney couldn't hide it anymore. The truth spilled fast, and so did the early test screening feedback. Audiences weren't loving it. Some were curious about the changes, but many confused, upset. The tone was inconsistent. The characters didn't feel like Snow White. Disney's golden era charm was gone, replaced by something that didn't seem to know if it was a fairy tale or a think piece.
No offense to anything. They're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing?
And that's when Disney hit the panic button. Not just minor reshoots, massive ones. Whole acts of the film had to be reworked. New sets built, entire storylines rewritten from scratch. And every reshoot, a new blow to the budget. Fans noticed the sudden silence from Disney's PR team.
Making the movie, they just got rid of the dwarves, okay?
Okay, but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical
creatures. But they have one token dwarf.
No trailers, no press tour, just whispers and delay after delay. And again, the CEO stepped in, and this time the message was clear. Disney needed Snow White to be a hit. With other box office flops piling up, this film was supposed to be a comeback. But it wasn't just about profits anymore. It was about saving face. And yes, Zegler's on-set issues were complicating everything. Then the most damning detail emerged. Anonymous crew members confirmed it. The damage was real.
As Peter Dinklage said, this is, this is not right. This is demeaning. And they were like, what? We just want to work with dwarves.
Full sets dismantled. The kingdom destroyed. Crew members quit. Morale hit rock bottom, and Disney silent. Major songs were scrapped. The dwarfs stripped of their charm. The heart of Snow White gone, replaced by a version that didn't resonate with loyal fans. Just when things seemed to calm down, tensions flared again. More shouting matches, more delays. Executives clashed over slashing the budget or salvaging the vision. Meanwhile, costs kept climbing. Test screenings resumed after the chaos. The edits helped, but the classic magic still missing. Younger viewers were open to it, but longtime fans still heartbroken.
So, ho, ho, ho. Anyway.
Well, here's actually Rachel Zegler, who is the new Snow White, and she's talking about...
Reports confirmed what many suspected. The meltdown left the set in ruins. Entire filming areas were rebuilt. Creative staff left or asked to be reassigned. The emotional toll had become just as costly as the physical damage. Disney scrambled. The CEO stepped in, marketing pivoted to focus on dazzling visuals instead of the story, but the question lingered. Could they distract the public from what really happened? The final reshoots targeted the third act.
A little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them.
Whole sections were rewritten to fix the tone and try to restore a sliver of the classic fairy tale charm. But for many fans, the damage was done. No amount of CGI or glitter could erase what they'd heard about the chaos behind the scenes. At investor meetings, the CEO danced around the truth, referring to production disruptions without naming names. But Hollywood insiders already knew Rachel's meltdown wasn't a rumor, it was the turning point. Now, with the release date fast approaching, Disney is walking a tightrope. The success of Snow White isn't just about this film, it's about the future of Disney's entire remake strategy. The meltdown changed everything. Will the audience buy into the magic? Or will the behind-the-scenes drama curse this fairy tale forever?